Well, hello from Upper GI room. I'm here together with my boss, Lida, and with my second boss, Elena, and we're gonna try to pass you through this duodenal adenoma. When we're talking about duodenal adenomas, we always have to look for the position because there are two distinct situations. The adenoma of the papilla, which usually requires a duodenoscope and an ERCP in order to place stents, or adenomas in different positions like in our case. But in any case, I always advise to look at the papilla to try to visualize the papilla and make sure there's nothing else. And if you look at our papilla here, which is in the 11 o'clock position, this doesn't look like a normal papilla either. So I'm switching to my optical enhancement mode 1 to OE. And as you can, if you compare the tissues here, the adenoma and the papilla here, I would suspect that there's a second papillary adenoma as well. So at the end of the procedure, we either take a duodenoscope or we take a biopsy to make sure that this is not a different condition, which would be, of course, a game changer. We can also use, with this Pentax iScan scope, I10 scope, the iScan OE Mode 2, which still removes most of the red channel and enhances vascular structure, but gives you a very natural picture. Yes, so we already started to inject our lesion. Stop, needling. What we're using is saline with a little bit of indigo carmine and a little bit of adrenaline, 1 to 100,000. As you can see, the duodenum is very well vascularized, so there's a lot of bleeding. And you can see we get a nice lift. You always start behind the lesion to get it closer to you. Needle out. Inject. So we're trying to get a better access. Stop. And now there's one part which is crucial. Can you see the central part, which also has a different pattern in between? So what we have to see if there's a cancer or a scar from the biopsy. So we inject here, needle out, inject. It is lifting.
Yeah, quite nicely.
So we can try to inject more. It's of course a not so stable position. Stop, needle in. And as you can see, obviously the thing gets bigger the more you inject. So we now try the upper margin, needle out, inject. As you can see, I'm not using any force. Stop, needle in. And now I'm trying to move it away from the wall here, needle out, inject. Stop, needle in. So now I'm having a thorough look if the lifting is to my liking, but I want to have a little bit more behind.
So you're just using saline?
Yes, saline and a little bit of blue color. Needle out.
Yeah, it's out.
Inject.
Why don't you use hyaluronic acid?
Hyaluronic acid is too expensive. I'm from a poor country. Stop. Okay, so let's see.
But here we can use it.
We can use it, yeah, but it's for an ESD, I would use hyaluronic acid, but not for an EMR. Okay, needle out. One more injection here. Inject. Stop. And we take the small snare. We're taking a 15 millimeter snare now because it's too big for a piecemeal resection anyway. And if you see, the lifting is not perfect in the center. So I want to be safe and I do a resection in more than one piece.
It's 15 millimeters.
So we're using the Irby Vio 3. As you can see, it's got a full touch screen, and you can adjust the settings to your liking. So we're using EndoCut Q now with forced coagulation in case we have to coagulate. We also have the APC module in case we need to do some hemostasis. So open the snare. Yeah. Okay. And now, as always, you try to move it in the 6 o'clock position, close the snare.
Close.
Okay. I'm removing air and then I'm cutting.
Подсоедините сами.
At the beginning it doesn't cut.
Yeah.
because we didn't connect the cable. A classic. Okay. Do we have a trap?
Ну, холодная резекция, понятно, холодной петлей, размеры подходящие.
So we're now mounting a trap, and we're trying to remove the specimen so we don't lose any.
Нет, Елена, такая, захват.
Or we can also put it into the stomach
And leave it there.
and leave it there. That's what we're going to do now. And at the end, we remove all the specimens. This scope is one of my preferred for procedures like this because it has a 3.2 working channel. So you combine a slim diagnostic scope with a larger working channel, and you have, of course, all the filter technologies which are state of the art nowadays. So, of course, there's a little bit of bleeding, as was to be expected, but we take care of that later. Open snare. So, close the snare. And make sure we grabbed... Wait, leave it. Again, I tried to do it, to place it in the stomach. Close.
Yeah, I feel resistance, but I think it's small part.
No, it's okay.
We can have that with basket or with that kind of.
Whatever you wish.
Okay.
So I try to aspirate, and then I do a little bit of cleaning, and then we see. I
Пока не надо.
remove all the pieces now, and then we...
Здравствуйте опять.
Okay, this is too big. This might not pass through. Let's see.
Давайте корзинку тогда. Да, корзинку, чтобы схватить.
The first one is too big, so it's no problem. Yeah.
It's fine.
We're doing good. Everything under control. I pull it out later. I continue the resection. I'm not taking any risks, so I do it slowly. Okay, well, already back on. So I'm just removing another piece.
Yeah, it's here.
Yeah. We put a polyp trap inside so we can safely aspirate all the pieces. And now we're checking our resection area and do a little bit of housekeeping by washing. So there's still one area left, and I think we inject once more.
Инъекцию.
But the bleeding is not bad, so I'm not too worried about that. And whenever you do piecemeal EMR, you have to treat the borders of the lesion with APC. Otherwise, you have a high rate of recurrences. So what we're going to do anyway, we do APC at the end of the procedure in order to make sure we completely destroy any residual tissue.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Is there any
You're
useful classification system to distinguish in the duodenum cancer or not cancer, adenoma or not adenoma?
No,
or
it's just the general surface pattern which we
Yeah.
use. Kneel out, yeah. But there's no particular classification inject. And
nothing
also
like
the
Kudo?
lifting signs are very important.
Yeah.
So, okay, stop, needle in, and snare.
Петлю.
Open. So you might have asked why I'm taking a small snare, but you can see in the duodenum, even the small snare is very big. Close. And I'm also aspirating while closing the snare.
A bit of
Yeah,
resistance.
yeah. So in order to make sure we grab the tissue, you don't have to see anything. It's sufficient to rely on a good assistance, and you can see this was a nice cut, and probably with one more cut we should be able to finish this off. Let's hope. Open the snare. Yeah, fully open. So one of the mistakes you can make is take a too big of a snare. Slowly.
A bit
Yeah.
small resistance, but yes. Yes.
So let's take away our specimens and see if there's anything left we have to
With a
treat.
basket or with that captivator?
We use the. Let's see. There's one more piece we have to resect, I think. Yeah. So this is a difficult location. We're at the posterior wall.
Definitely.
It would be much easier and faster if it was in a different position, like in the 6 o'clock position. But I locked my small wheel in order to get a stable position. Open. Yep, perfect. And now I'm turning myself again into the 6 o'clock. No. You want an obedient
Yes.
assistant here. Slowly, stop, and close.
То есть вы сейчас добираете остаточную опухолевую ткань, и следующим этапом, наверное, как вы и планировали, будете осматривать большой дуоденальный сосочек, да?
Мы планируем еще аргоноплазменную коагуляцию сделать краев. We're again on.
So, we're almost done. Now we have to do our housekeeping. You can see the lesion is more or less completely resected. There is a small piece of residual tissue which we take away with the forceps, and then we treat with APC. Close, yeah. Open. Oh, once again.
Several times.
Close. Okay. And now we do a little bit of APC as hemostasis. There is a vessel here which we have to treat because this will be a major bleeding if we don't treat it now. So APC. Again, I'm using pulsed APC. And this is just a little bit of bleeding from the biopsy, but this is nothing serious.
Yeah.
So we start with the bleeding area, of course. You have to be careful not to touch the surface. Especially if you're using single-use probes, they're always new and work beautifully. That's important when you switch from reusable to single-use. So we're trotting the vessel now here.
Do you think, is it useful to prophylactically treat with APC resection site?
Yes. In
So it
piecemeal
helps.
resection always, because you greatly reduce the risk of recurrence.
Not in terms of recurrence, but in terms of bleeding.
Bleeding. If they're visible vessels like the one I've just treated, I would always treat them, yes.
Okay.
Especially in the duodenum. You have a high rate of bleeding after mucosectomy in the duodenum. Oh, it's okay.
Простите? Are you planning on clipping?
No. I don't believe in clipping, especially in very difficult positions. So let's see. Wait. I just want to see. So you can also use your filter technology to see how the result looks like. Maybe we touch here. We do a little bit of touch up here at the upper margin, just to be sure. Lida, what do you think? How does it look?
I think it's perfect. We should not forget about biopsy.
Yes. Now we take the duodenoscope and we have a look at the papilla. Patient is intubated, so why not use the best way?
As many scopes as possible.
Yes, they're free today. You can see you don't have to see, you just have to have a spatial orientation in order to do the APC. Important, no touching. It's like with your assistants. Okay.
Не сейчас, попозже.
So I think we managed this safely. Always remove the air when you're doing APC, even if you're using CO2, because it doesn't get absorbed. So the patient might have pain after a longer session of APC. Don't forget that. And now we're removing, do we have a net? A Roth net?
Yes, корзиночку для
So now we're removing our resected specimens are put into the stomach, and then we switch for the duodenoscope. And maybe you want to come back later. Okay, so we are back. We just took the duodenoscope because the papilla looked a little bit suspicious, and if you look carefully, there is a strange upper part of the papilla. It's not really impressive. It's probably nothing, but just to be sure, we take a biopsy with the duodenoscope. And this is the ED331T, I10T, which means it's an HD one, and you can use the usual optical filters with this scope as well. And you can even use twin mode to have white light and the filter at the same time if you want to. So we're taking a biopsy now, and one should be enough. Open. I try not to grab the papilla, but just the area I'm interested in. Close. Okay. And I think that should be enough. But I wanted to be sure that there's no adenoma of the papilla. So we check if there's a specimen, and if there is, we just stop the procedure.
That's it.
That's it. Okay. Thank you. A little bit?
Вам спасибо. Да, вот у Михаила Павловича Королева есть чего сказать.
Майкл, это операция фантастик, которую вы сделали. Все очень здорово. Но, как говорил Марк Бург, знаете, это я для молодых докторов говорю. Марк Бург – это профессор из Австралии. Он активно оперирует на слизистой двенадцатиперстной кишки, много операций делает. Те, кто будут начинать такие операции, лучше их начинать делать в понедельник для того, чтобы хорошо провести уикенд. Вот. Почему? Потому что это сложно. Это одна из самых сложных. Одна из самых сложных, да, одна из сложных локализаций для удаления. И Майкл справился с этим
Yes, not on Friday.
To have a good weekend, yes.
But it went well. You can see the result, no bleeding, no nothing.
Давайте поблагодарим Майкла за прекрасную работу.